you should take some emery cloth and then just do a little light sanding. There was a slight ridge here. It's gone already. It's just, you know, a little rust buildup. All right, let's go over just a couple things here. Gotta explain a couple things. Now, obviously, the issue is really different here because my ball joint was broken, so this project started with me pressing the ball joint out. But if you have an intact ball joint, the first step you gotta take is removing the spindle nut, okay? So I put the wrench back on it just now, and that nut, you know, it runs down through the steering knuckle, I guess you would call it. This is where an acetylene torch would come in really handy. And I gave up trying to get that spindle nut to hold still, or the spindle. So I'm sawing away. I'm about halfway through. All right. I got it off. So we'll see what we can do now about getting that out of there. I don't... Oh, man. Hope I haven't created more problems. Without air tools, this is just problematic. I'll point a couple things out. Here's my ABS sensor, and that, you know, tube pokes through, and it pushes that little pin right up next to the flywheel and back. But this has been a bugger to get out, and you got to be real gentle with it. I don't think that's... It feels like it's metal, but if you mar up that tube, it's not going to go through the plate, the hole in the plate here. So I'm going to take that out. Got to detach the tie rod end, and then you've got a nut here, bolt head on the other side, no nut here, bolt on the other side. That holds your steering knuckle. So you see my goal here is to just detach the steering knuckle. Broken breaker bar to push on it, and I've pried this end. I drove a screwdriver down between here and there to begin with on both sides. Make sure you're doing it evenly, otherwise you're going to mar up that tube. Alright, so there's the lower control arm, and there's the back side. Boy, I wish it were easy to do this stuff all the time like this. So here's the back side. There's the ball joint. I'm going to go get pressed out. Apparently my buddy at the shop, he's not working today, so here, just pop a Pitman puller on this sucker, right? Come on. There. I guess that does the trick. Now we can just raise up the lower control arm with the jack, fit this in, put this C-clamp on, we'll have plenty of room, and we'll crank it on up in there. This will be a lot easier this way. Let's get the jack here, and got my collection of nuts and bolts over there. So, jack over this one, it's not one size, no, any more than that. Okay, run through the thought process with me again as we figure out how to assemble the tool. Alright, so this is ultimately going up in there. To press it up in, you need a ring that fits against the ball joint. Now this one fits around. We don't want that, so this is going to be the one for up above, providing the resistant pressure from above. On the bottom, I wish I had one that fit better, but it doesn't. I wonder if we could just use, I think one time I just used this. But you can see when you get the ball joint up in there, which way do you rest it? I mean, it angles every which way kind of, and it's almost like you have to choose which way. You know, it won't seat in there perfectly flat, so I think it just corrects itself once you start driving it, because it does drive it pretty evenly. And this can be a little nerve-wracking because it just never looks like it's going in perfectly straight, and it kind of can bug you, you know? Especially since this bottom one is just fitting flush here. I tapped it again, and I put the spindle kind of out toward the strut column because that's how you have to fit it in later, even though, you know, that does move, but that's just going to make it easier. When it comes time to fitting it, I tapped it to nudge it, to wedge it a bit, and I think I'm going with this. And just eyeballing it. Just to make a straight line in there. Just wait a second now. Okay. And then as soon as I want to watch, I'm watching just watching the ball joint now closely. And if it's going up in there, it's pretty good. Grab a pipe here. So I took a screwdriver and I scored the upper side, the side with more room, you know, because this side's going in first. There's more space showing. So I just went like this and I scored the side of it. So I'm going to crank on it a few times and then check that mark. See if it disappears at all or closes. And it is. So yep, definitely going in.